Not the sports news.
Headlines have spoken.
Streaming data-free on the MTN network in South Africa. This is where Africa comes to play.
That is a masterclass.
On your phone, online, and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
It's mayhem.
Not the sports news.
Sadly, there's no Romy audio tonight. This morning rather. Romy is at home sick with a migraine. Hope she comes in okay tomorrow. Romy, get well soon. We're thinking about you in the office. Myself and him do. It's Wada Mampara, your favourite show of the week. The bad, the good, the ugly, the crude, the stupid and the arrogant, and then the people who are provoked. So we've got a lot of contenders. There's obviously the Chiefs coach, Nabi, shouting at journalists. Royal AM, the money they are paying some of the professional players has been absolutely disgusting and against the law. The captain of Hull City was seen drunk fighting in a street in the United Kingdom. There's a little video of him going around. The Baltimore Ravens head coach, John Harbaugh, says that his kicker, John Tucker, will be in the team, despite allegations of sexual misconduct about him. The French minister has apologised to Liverpool fans for the Champions League mayhem that happened a couple of years ago at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis. An Atalanta fan was stabbed to death after a game between themselves and Inter Milan. It's the audio that and the description of how it happened is absolutely frightening. And then the end, we're going to look at Kagiso Rabada. What exactly is going on there? What did he take? What has he admitted? Is it as bad as you think? We hear from Khalid Gallant, who's the CEO of SAIDS, the South African Anti-Doping Association in South Africa, the guys who actually, they tested Kagiso Rabada positive. So we're going to start off with the embattled Kaizer Chiefs coach. That's the only way we can describe him. He reacted angrily when a journalist was giving him some lip after they lost. The guy basically asked him, said, well, do you think you deserve to be here? And it was quite strange that he was speaking in French when he was talking about the tactical stuff, the way that the game played out, the fact that the players are not as great as they have. I see Inchibula Ngidi on News 24 today saying that he is he's been turning on the charm and exuding confidence at the Chiefs base in Naturena yesterday morning. So they're beginning their preparations for the big Nedbank Cup final in Durban against arch rivals Pirates. Why the Soweto derbies in Durban, the Lord only knows. The Amakosi are in 9th place. They've got 3 matches remaining. They've lost 12 games. And on Saturday, they suffered a double league loss to Pirates. They raced for the top 8, and this is an obsession in South African football, the top 8, because MTN 8 is such a big money spinner. And the MTN 8, for me, is a competition that has no sense and no standing. Nobody ever says, well done, you won the MTN 8. It's going to be something that is going to be great for you. Chiefs, they need to win the remaining results, and that they think they can beat Sekhukhune United and Polokwane City and then have the results go their way, so they'll end in the top half. But the derby on Saturday will test Nabi to the full, I think, because he's so on edge, and this is the way he reacted to the journalist asking him the question.
If you are professional journalist. Professional journalist is now all. Have information for some club, this play with the title, this one play for Champions League, this one for... I come here for a process. And we talk my first press conference, and I inform all the journalists is translate season. You understand? I repeat, if you are professional. Secondly, if you are in process, you don't ask me why you stay here, because your result is bad. 2 things. You are not professional, or understand me? Understand myself. I respect you. I respond. Don't provoke me, because I'm not a young coach. I have big experience. I know what you have this. Because it's not respect to tell me to have bad result Why you stay here? It's professional this. Talk with me tactical. Talk to me for all process. Why? Huh? But I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I respect you because I tell my assistant Norman I don't give a response for this question. It's clear, brother.
You want the context?
Sorry?
Hold on.
Sorry?
No.
I repent. If you professional, you know the process, the evaluation of a process, we have a post for every evaluation. If you are professional. If you are not professional, this is another thing. But me, I respect you. I respect all the journalists. But don't provoke me. I am not nervous. I'm nervous because I lose. But I'm not nervous for your question. It's clear.
Thank you, Coach.
Not nervous, but very, very, very angry. According to Njabula Ngidi from Access Set News 24, he stormed into the podium, onto the podium where the press conference was held, smashed his glasses on the floor, the lenses popped onto the desk, the lenses popped out. In a temper, will he see the year out? Well, according to Mtu from Far Post yesterday, Kaizer Chiefs don't like firing players before coaches before the end of the season, but you go for the record of their recent coaches. They've either just selected the bad or they don't have the players. I think it's not the players. And they just don't have the players, do they? They don't have the players. No. And it is stunning that he can suddenly speak English whenever he's when he's angry, and whenever the team plays badly, he can't speak English. So, shocking. Sean Makezi from Royal AM is angry. She's applied for an urgent court order in the Joburg High Court to declare her expulsion from the PSL unlawful. So she's attached the proof of payment of the salaries which she has paid, and she said that this has come out of her own pocket, which is, She says that SARS have destabilised the day-to-day running of the team. She also says that the fact that they don't get the 2.3 million rand a month grant from the PSL has put them in strife. So these are the people who get paid here. The veteran defender, Thabo Batlaba, he's the highest paid player, took him 121,000 rand a month. There's a player known as Mguni S, and this is in the court papers. He was the lowest paid with a net pay of a paltry 2,000 rand a month. There are security guards that get paid more than that. And in terms of the law, as of March 1, 2024, for last year, the minimum wage in South Africa is 27 rand and 58 cents per hour, or 4,779 rand and 38 cents per month. And that's for a 40-hour work week. And you think they're training every day, they're playing on weekends. Midfielder Kabela Machlese was the second highest player. He got a net pay of 93,500. Shadrach Kobedi took home 80 grand a month. But then there's some other players, like the goalkeeper, Apili Ngobise, gets 7,916 rand a month. How is that possible in the PSL, the grandest league in Africa, apparently? Sabanga Zulu got 6,900 and Smiso Ngubere, 4,950 rand. That's net pay to take home. An absolute disgrace. Sean Makezi, you are a big contender for Mampara, Wara Mampara and the Mampara of the week. Another one, we're going to go straight to Gerald Damanen. He is the former French interior minister. He's apologised to Liverpool fans for letting them down as a scapegoat. Basically, he blamed Liverpool fans for the chaos that happened around the Champions League final in 2022 outside the Stade de France in Saint-Denis in Paris. He said the supporters of Liverpool, they were including children, were tear gassed, and there were false claims that they had caused a riot. These claims were subsequently shown by the French police, who did their own investigation. They said, no, of course it happened. And then another independent investigation showed that it happened. He has called himself, he's now the French Justice Minister, by the way. He is called the night the biggest failure of his career. So this is on 28 May 2022. Liverpool supporters said they feared for their lives as they're forced to enter Stade de France via a narrow subway and had boxed-in lanes that could not accommodate the amount of thousands of players who had arrived. So this led to big overcrowding, and there were fears of Hillsborough and the crushing that happened there in April 1989, when 97 A Liverpool fan has died after a rush into the stadium, and after too many people there were failures of policing, failures of ticket checking. Security and ticket checks were abandoned on the day at Saint-Denis. There were, I'm just looking down this, security and ticket checks were abandoned. People without tickets, some of them, including local young men who attacked Liverpool fans, they got entry into the stadium. And they used that entry into the stadium to basically start robbing and stealing from Liverpool fans. The Real Madrid fans were on the other side. Dominant said the trouble had been caused by about 40,000 Liverpool fans trying to get in with forged tickets or no tickets at all. So then a French parliamentary inquiry said this is rubbish. There was only 2,471 forged tickets were discovered. In an interview with a legend of the YouTube channel on Sunday, Dominant, who's 42 years old, quite young for a cabinet minister, he offered a very different version of the match. He said it was a failure because I had not anticipated the problem, which was a mistake on my behalf. I didn't check what was happening properly. I committed the sin of having preconceived ideas. He said Liverpool had obviously been an easy target for him. He apologised to Liverpool supporters. Said he had been resting on his laurels in the run-up to the match. I didn't tell myself, hold on, is there a problem because I was a bit pretentious perhaps? Imagine that, a Frenchman being pretentious. And then you could see on the CCTV images, a red crowd of Liverpool supporters gathered around the fences and riot police holding them back. I was told there was a crowd movement. It was Liverpool, and obviously this is English hooliganism. But our initial analysis was they're causing trouble. That's what the police chief told him. That's what the images showed. But since then, they saw the local thieves were targeting supporters. Saint-Denis is an area full of immigrants from North Africa. It can be a bit of a dodgy area. I've been there a lot of times. Thieves blocked the turnstiles. There was a commuter train line outage. That's why Liverpool supporters were ushered towards a single tunnel leading to the stadium. I mean, the failures are just extraordinary. It took something for him to apologise. So he's an outside shot for what I'm part of this week. But, he's still up there. I'm a big Liverpool fan, obviously. And I think the way Liverpool were treated during this. And now we're over to the Baltimore Ravens. They haven't offered an apology. So the Baltimore Ravens, the head coach, John Harbaugh, says his team's decision about whether to keep kicker Justin Tucker will be a football decision amid sexual misconduct allegations against the NFL veteran. Over a dozen massage therapists have accused Tucker of inappropriate sexual behavior. The NFL has only said it will investigate the investigations. Tucker said he did not act inappropriately towards any of his accusers. And Harbaugh on Sunday said, from the standpoint of the investigation and all that, we don't know anything. We haven't been given any information as it should be. It's all done the way it's done. So you can't make any decisions based on that. Every decision we make has to be on football. So the accusations against Tucker include that he exposed his genitals, brushed some of the therapists with his penis, left ejaculate on treatment tables. 2 spas told the Banner he had banned Tucker from returning. That's the Banner, the Baltimore Banner newspaper. One therapist described Tucker's alleged behavior as degrading, and another said, I can't watch sports anymore. These are the words of the Baltimore Ravens head coach, John Harbaugh, explaining, he's going for a Mason Greenwood type reasoning as why you can't drop him.
Point of the investigation and all that, we don't know anything. We haven't been given any information, so we don't know anything along those lines, so we can't make any decisions based on that. Every decision we make has to be based on football. There's a lot of layers to that. You've got a rookie kicker in here. You took him in the 6th round, early in the 6th round. He's a talented guy. Just from a football standpoint, salary cap, all the different things that you just take into consideration. Whatever we decide to do over the next few weeks will be based on football.
Yeah, it's not a great look for the Baltimore Ravens, not a great look for Tucker, not a great look for Harbaugh. Coming up after the break, we have 3 more contenders for Whatamampara. Tune in.
This is Omnisport Africa. We are putting African sport first. Live and on demand on your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply. And online at omniaudio.africa. Because reading about it tomorrow won't help you today. When we created Omnisport, we wanted you to hear from Africa's greatest sports journalists. In South Africa, there was only one choice.
No big deal.
Omnisport proudly presents Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes.
Whatever that Chiefs can do, it would seem Mamelodi Sundowns can do better.
With over 3 decades as one of South Africa's most talented, decorated, and astute soccer journalists, Brad Jakes is the man the players, coaches, team owners, and officials listen to.
This is a brave man.
Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes, exclusive to Omnisport, where Africa comes to play.
Now that's a garage match.
Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
Over to the Serie A, and the death of a fan is always something. It's incredibly tragic, incredibly sad, and incredibly avoidable, and it hasn't been avoided. The match between Atalanta and Serie A match, a 26-year-old fan of Atalanta stabbed to death between clashes between Atalanta and Inter supporters, and this was in Bergamo. The police have reported the group of supporters clashed in a pub in Bergamo on Saturday night after one of the Inter supporters was chanting provocatively. The head of the police said in Bergamo. So this is from Carmelo Bercanelli. He said the confrontation continued in the street near the Atlanta Stadium, escalated into violence when a man identified as an Inter supporter stabbed the Atalanta fan to death. Emergency service arrived swiftly, were unable to save his life. The Atalanta fan who died has been identified as Ricardo Claris. A mate in his late teens has been arrested. Apparently he has surrendered himself to police. He said he acted to protect his brother. Atalanta fans unfurled a banner at the start. They beat Mons at the weekend of 4-0, and it was in memory of Claris, which in English it read, Claris, everywhere with us. What happened? Atalanta manager Gian Piero Gasparini said in a press conference after the match, must never happen again. This is frightening. This is from this news, and it's a frightening description of the run-up to this guy being killed. And it wasn't just a random stabbing. This was thought out and premeditated.
Ricardo Claris, a 26-year-old man, was stabbed to death on the night between May 3rd and 4 in Bergamo, near the stadium in Via Ghirardelli. The attack reportedly broke out following a fight between about 10 young people armed with chains and sticks, presumably over football rivalries. Around 1 a.m., paramedics from 118 arrived on the scene, but there was nothing more they could do for the young man from Val Brembana. Law enforcement has launched an investigation. According to initial reports, 2 brothers were among those involved in the fight. One of them intervened to defend the other, went home to get a knife, and then fatally stabbed the 26-year-old. Some residents interviewed by the local press reported hearing screams and shouts coming from nearby gardens. Someone was shouting, "Enough," a young woman told Corriere della Sera. "I heard people shouting, 'A knife, a knife,' but I didn't have the courage to lift the shutter," another resident added, speaking to Bergamo News. "A young man approached me and asked if I knew an Inter fan who lived nearby. 'If I find him, I'll kill him,' another young woman said in tears. The attacker is an 18-year-old who reportedly turned himself in to the police, intervened to defend his brother, went home to get the knife, and then stabbed the 26-year-old.
It's just mind-boggling. He intervened, then he went home to get the knife, and then he came back to hunt the guy down and kill him. This premeditated murder, to be quite honest. He has turned himself into police. I don't think there will be any mitigation circumstances. I can see jail time for this kid. Incredibly sad, incredibly just unnecessary. It's it broke me when I read it, and every time I go through that, the violence, the unnecessary violence, fans fighting. We've had it recently at Loftus Versfeld. We've had it in stadiums in the United Kingdom. We've had it between Uruguay and other teams. Uruguay players running in to save their families. It's mind-bogglingly stupid. As is the whole city captain. So the whole city are investigating footage of Louis Coyle. He's there. He's been in charge for a while. It's been up and down about whether he should be included in the team because his form hasn't been great. So Hull City in the Championship in England, he appeared to be involved in a bloody street brawl on Sunday. So the video was shared on social media and shows Coyle basically shirtless. He's 29 years old, being led away from his incident by his younger brother Rocco, who's 18 years old. The right back was being seen pushed away from a crowd in front of a stationary bus, with traffic on the road having come to a stop. He'd been at the Empress pub at about 8 p.m. with his older brother, who's a former professional boxer. This is according to the Sun newspaper. Around the pub, continued onto the street. Multiple people were fighting. A witness told the Sun it all happened yesterday in the city centre. I was on my way home and I saw lots of people fighting. At the time, I wasn't aware it was Luke Coyle. I just saw him being pushed by his brother. Hull told the Times that they're aware of a video currently circulating on social media and have launched an investigation into the matter. They're going to refrain from making any comment until the investigation is concluded, but the footage seems pretty stark. He was shirtless. He was obviously had a couple of drinks, had his shirt ripped off. He joined Hull City in 2020 from Fleetwood Town, and he's played for the club for the past 5 seasons. He earned promotion from League One back in 2021. They avoided relegation from the Championship Saturday. They drew 1-1 with Portsmouth. Perhaps that was the reason for him to have a couple of drinks and get carried away. Someone's been carried away from me is Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving Liverpool. I'm not going to name him as a Mampara for the week. He has said in a very emotional video on Liverpool FC that this is the hardest decision of his life. It's his boyhood club. He's moving closer to joining Real Madrid on a free transfer. People are going to obviously go at him and say, why didn't you, basically you're a £100 million rated player. Why didn't you allow Liverpool to sign a new contract and then basically fleece Real Madrid for the money? But Liverpool can't offer him the challenges that Real Madrid can. Now, he'd agonised over this. He's been thinking about this for the last year, perhaps longer than a year and a bit. He told Arne Slot in March that he wanted a new challenge, so this was during their face-to-face talks. So he posted a video on social media channels at 10 a.m. Monday. He's been delaying it for a while, and I think they were delaying the announcement of Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk's contract negotiations to essentially give him a bit of leeway and not make him lose a bit of face. In the video, it said it's easily the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. I know that I'm going to be viewed as a coward by supporters. Had he waited until the end of the season before he announced it? So announcing it now before the victory parade, before the last game of the season, last couple of games of the season in which he played, the game against Arsenal coming up this weekend on Sunday. He says, I think the decision for me is personal, to change environment, to challenge myself personally elsewhere. It's not about wanting to find something better. It's about me and my personal journey as a player. I feel now is the right time to go and experience that. So he's been at Anfield since the age of 6, and he's been there for 20 years. He's won everything that he can. He's won the Premier League title twice in 5 years. They've also won the Champions League. They've won the Club World Cup, FA Cup, 2 League Cups, UEFA Super Cup. In assists, he's had 64. He's created 514 chances, which is 4th in the Premier League since his debut. That's more assists and more chances than any other Premier League defender. The guy with the most is Kevin De Bruyne with 102 assists, 715 chances created. Then obviously Mo Salah, 86, 525. And Son Heung-min from Spurs with 67, 465. Just after Trent is obviously Alexander Robertson. And then Christian Eriksen's below him. He's played 352 matches for Liverpool. He started 318 times, scored 23 goals, has 86 assists. He didn't mention Madrid in his video message, but the Spaniards obviously been at him for a while. They tried to sign him in January for a knockdown fee of about £20 million, which is about, I think, close to 100 million rand, if not more. So my maths is bad. It's done a great maths, as you can't beat it. Liverpool didn't even discuss numbers. They wanted to win the league under Slot, so they were more concentrated about keeping him around. But they were allowed to speak to him on January 1. And there was a real signal from Alexander-Arnold that he wanted to choose to continue his career with him. It is believed he's going to be signing a 6-year contract, but he can only move to the Borneba on July 1, which is the day his contract officially ends. So it's not been decided whether he's going to be able to go to the Club World Cup. This is going to be in America, the real, and that's from June 14 to June 13 to July 13. It's because the incoming coach, Xabi Alonso, apparently, may only succeed Carlo Ancelotti after the tournament. I mean, it's all changed at Real Madrid at the moment. You know, they do well and they still basically get, they still get basically pushed around. Carlo Ancelotti, got a feel for him. But Trent, as a Liverpool fan, I wish you all the well. It's sad. It's great. We'll always have that goal against Barcelona, 3-0 down, score 3-0 at Anfield, a quick corner into Divock Origi, and the goal of the century. The shock of the century, the shock of this week, then perhaps the shock of the year, is that Kagiso Rabada is going to be free to return to cricket action. He's eligible to play for the Proteas when they take on Australia in the World Test Championship and final in Lords at June. His positive recreational test, we saw him missing out on the bulk of the IPL, Indian Premier League, last month. It's been categorized by the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport under the substance abuse section. Now, this substance of abuse section reads that these substances are identified because they're frequently abused in society out of the context of sport. So Khalid Gallant was speaking to Cape Talk's John Matham on Monday and explained the difference between performance-enhancing drugs and recreational drugs.
Now, you're not going to tell me, I believe, for what he tested positive.
At this point, I'm not able to disclose, and it's up to Mr. Rabada to disclose specifically which substance in the category of substance abuse that he tested positive for.
Okay, what is in that category? What are the things in that category?
So this is a special category in terms of what's banned in sport, and in that category, which is the substances of abuse, is cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, and cannabis, which would be marijuana.
So it's one of those four?
Correct.
Okay. And I could push you as much as I liked, Khalid, and I know from experience that you're not going to break. So let's move on, and let me talk about cannabis. I'm not assuming that Kagiso Rabada tested positive for cannabis, but I want to talk about cannabis because I think that is the one substance on that list of four that you gave me that I don't think should be there. I don't know whether you think it should be there, and I don't know whether you'd be prepared to share your opinion with me.
Yeah, it's always controversial for all the number of years now, the last couple of years, and especially because cannabis has been decriminalized almost across the world. We actually issued a position statement this year on the use of CBD, which is a derivative from cannabis, THC, on its role in sport. Now, in sport, the substance is still banned, although it's decriminalized in sport. And for a substance to be banned in sport, it has to satisfy three criteria. One being performance enhancing, the other being harm to the athlete, and the third one, the controversial one, which is more general, against the spirit of sport. And according to the authorities in sport, cannabis falls into that last two, satisfies that last two, against the spirit of sport and harm to the athlete. And this classification of substance of abuse, satisfies those two criteria, and that's why it's treated slightly different from other more egregious offenses with doping products, such as steroids and those substances. So it's treated differently, and the sanction is also different.
Well explained by Khalid Gallant. Against the spirit of the game. I mean, the only spirit I've seen players drink is vodka and whiskey after the game. I'm going to go through all these guys again. So we've got Kagiso Rabada, I think it'd be a bit harsh. Royal AM's right up there. Hull City's captain, Justin Tucker, the French justice minister. But I'm going to go because Amundu told me, and he's got his arm today. He's got a gun, and he's a Pirates fan. It's got to be Nabi. Don't forget, coming up on Omni Audio today, you can listen to Brad Jakes on Inside SA Soccer. Also, we're going to be releasing Romy Titus has done an interview with Baba Mtetwa. Got it right. And you're going to be talking about how he lost his leg, met his wife, and his great career. He's a legendary football commentator. He's been around for a long time, a good man. This has been What's Mampara. Congratulations, Nabi.
Not the sports news on OmniAudio.Africa with Romy Titus and Kevin McCallum.